Hello, welcome to Green World in a Pod, and today I'm with Courtney's Myth. And I went to your website, Courtney, and I really like the way you're being presented there, so I want to take it and present you here like that. Small yet packing a stylish, powerful punch. Courtney's Myth is a stylist and creative director and fashion contributor to a variety of TV shows. And I love that small yet packing a stylish, powerful punch line. I'm like, oh wow, I had to read it twice.
I can't take credit for that either because a friend came up with it. But if you could, obviously this is a podcast, so you can't see me, but I'm petite in height. I'm not even 5'2". I'm almost 5'2", so small but packing a punch. So I liked that when my friend said it to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, because you're also, and in your lives I can see you're such a like the small energy ball, you know, like
Yeah.
packed with enthusiasm and creativity, which is what I really, really, really like about.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about something that you're passionate about, it's hard not to get overexcited and like you said, like a little ball of energy, because I love what I do. I love fashion, so I think that comes across when I'm talking about it.
Yeah, yes, it does. It does. When I speak of something passionate, I do realize that I have a lot of like excitement going on, but I'm definitely not one of those people who can show it like fully. So I do keep it to myself, and then I'm like, oh my god, but it's all in me. So I do admire that as well.
More reserved than I am. I'm not. I'm a ball of energy. I get excited very easily.
One of the things, and the reason why I invited you on this podcast is because, well, I like to speak about fashion culture and food culture, but what I love about fashion, and I even forget about it, because when we start to speak about something, many times we become very serious. And what I lack, or what I miss many times, is the excitement and the fun of fashion.
Yeah.
And I thought of you because I feel, even when I met you on the Image magazine shoot, I realized how fashion is fun and entertaining. But now, especially, we're talking about, the issues of sustainability and all of that. And I'm like, yes, it is important. I'm not saying it's important, but it should be a sort of behind the scenes, like that should be a fact, a given.
Yeah.
And then
that should just be. It shouldn't even be a talking point, because at this stage, and hopefully further down the line, sustainability will just be like clothes will just be made that way, and it shouldn't have to be a talking point. And that's the mission, that's the aim. But I like what you say in terms of like fashion being fun, and I think the reason people talk about it in such a serious way over the last few years is because I think there was a long time where fashion and fashion careers were looked down upon, that they were frivolous and not serious, and that like, oh, you work in fashion, isn't that cute? Oh, you're a model, isn't that nice? When are you getting a real job? Like these kind of comments. And like I got it as a stylist as well. So I think as people who have careers in the fashion industry, we always try to talk it up like, well, actually it's $1 billion, $1 trillion industry, and the turnover is this, and actually we employ this many people worldwide, and you know, this is why it's such an important industry. And we always talk about the important side of it, which I think it's on purpose, but it takes away from the frivolous fashion. But why can't it be both? Why can't fashion be both serious and frivolous? And I think it's a really good question, because there is that. If you read most of the magazines now, they're always trying to talk fashion up as this serious business, this massive contender, and it's that, but it's also fun. and it can be fun as well. And I always, when I'm on set, I try to bring that through with the clothing that I'm putting out there. But also, I want to have fun on set. Like, I'm there to have the experience as much as the model is, as much as hair and makeup are as well, and the photographer and anyone that's there. And I feel like when you're having fun on set, the images are always better. Like, if you have a bad experience on set when you're doing a shoot as a model for you or for me as a stylist, I always look at those images with a slightly like tainted vision. And even if they're beautiful, I always remember how hard a day it was and how horrible a day it was. And when I look at a shoot and I've had the best day with the best team and we've just vibed and we've had loads of fun and the clothes are fun and everything just gels, the images are just elevated for me. And I know nobody else knows that. It's only the people that were on set. But I do still think that shines through in the images, because I feel like if everybody's comfortable and having fun on set, the imagery is so much better.
I never thought of it like that. It's as if it is a memory of a day, which in theory has nothing to do with the day. As in, you don't see what happened during the day. Like, you just see the product of a whole day on set. But it is a memory. And I never really thought about that, because again, I forget how images and photography, it is a memory of something. It's
a snapshot of that day, of that moment. And that's the part I love about the shoots, because it does transport you back to that day, to that experience. And if you, like I said, if you have a bad experience, that's all you think about. You don't even think, here's the most beautiful shoot I've ever done. You think, oh, that was a hard day, or that was an awful day. Or you think, wow, we had so much fun on set that day, which is what we had when we were shooting for Image. And like, I look at those with such fond memories, because it was a crazy day. Do you remember I had to collect you from the airport? We had to go straight. It was a long day, and I think you'd left your house at like 4:00 in the morning or something.
No, I actually spent the night at the airport, because there was no way to go. So I took like the last train or bus to the airport. But because when you fly at like 5 or 6, I hate waking up at like 1 a.m. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just take like the last bus at 11:30 and just stay a couple hours reading or you know, just I've done it many times, like many times.
You're a pro. But it was a manic day, but you kind of, I even remember one of my fond memories of that was actually driving you back to the airport, because we got stuck in traffic, if you remember, and the two of us were just chatting about fashion and sustainability, and we had such lovely chats about like our views on the industry. But like, that's, you know what I mean, that's another lovely memory from the day, because sometimes I don't get that much one-on-one time with the models. Like, I don't always pick them up and drop them back to the airport, so sometimes all the time that I have with them is the time that we're on set. So I got so much more time to get to know you, which was lovely. But that's another memory from the day, you know what I mean? It was a long day. Your day was definitely longer than mine, but it was still long.
I hoped to try a Guinness, but it didn't happen.
Oh, sorry.
Next time. I'm like, I have to come back.
Yeah.
Have you seen the CR runway with Amfar? The virtual runway?
Yes, I have. I've seen snapshots of it. I haven't seen the entire thing. But I feel like that's kind of the way everything's happening now, isn't it? It's all going kind of virtual and viral.
Yes. Although I enjoyed it, and that's when I restarted thinking about the entertaining part of fashion, because it was super entertaining and fun, and I loved seeing, I don't remember the name of the model, but a few models didn't know how to do their hair and makeup, and I felt so much better about myself, because I didn't manage to do shoot at home because I cannot do hair and I cannot do makeup. So, and I cannot style myself. Like, I am one of those people who are like literally a model. Like, I come, you dress me.
You're a real model.
You do everything to me. I interpret whatever I have to do, and that's it. Like, so it was.
No, I loved it. I felt they also they seem to have a lot of fun doing it. Like, they'd never really walked like that on a real catwalk.
No.
But, sorry, they used to. If you remember, like, back in the 80s, like the Versace runways and everything, they used to have so much fun on the runway. Like, they'd stick their tongue out at the cameras, and they'd do funny little jigs and dances. And I know Coco Rocha was at Alexander McQueen, and she did like a dance at the end of the runway. Like, nobody does that shit anymore. They do like
exactly. And
strict walking.
I missed it. And looking at this virtual runway of the models just doing it in wherever and styling themselves as they felt and being ironic or, you know, but really playful. And that playfulness, I was like, man, I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed like the Victoria's Secret shows just because it's a runway, but it was a fun show. And if you can't, but if you take away the whole problems, of course, that they had, but the concept of being entertaining, that for that hour, you just forget something else. It's like a movie or when you go to the theater.
Escapism. It's pure escapism, and I think that's what a lot of like fashion, well, it was about. Hopefully we're getting back there. Maybe this current situation, this current pandemic is breeding this new wave of creativity, and when eventually fashion shows do get back up and running, it'll have to be rethought out. It's not going to be the same as it was before anyway. There's no possible way it could be. There's no way they're going to be able to do fashion weeks the way they have done in the past. So they'll have to get more creative. And even you were saying there, Victoria's Secret, did you see the Fenty show, Rihanna's show?
You know, I haven't yet.
All the girls were dancing.
Like bits.
And I loved that. I loved that because, first of all, like, when you wear lingerie, nobody wears lingerie and they walk straight up and down in a line. Lingerie moves. It moves with your body. Like, you're moving throughout the day. So to see it dancing on a model or, like, a dancer who's constantly contorting their body, you can really see how the fabric moves and how it clings to the female form. And I felt like that was such a clever idea, but it again brought that level of fun to it. And I was like, I want to be up on stage dancing with them in my underwear.
Absolutely, I do too. I hope it brings back the element of fun without any sort of guilt. It's like. And even Amphar, this virtual runway, they had this serious moments where they were talking about the pandemic and all of the problems. And I was sort of feeling like, I really wonder, was it necessary? It's as if to how can I say, not to excuse, but we're doing this because we're going to support and collect funds for, and I wonder.
It's like making an excuse, like, oh, we look like we're having fun, but it's only fun because of this. And it's kind of like, well, could it not just be, like, while there obviously are raising money for amazing funds, it could have just been something that they put at the beginning or the end. It didn't have to be something throughout. It was almost like, let's make sure people don't get pissed off or annoyed with us because we're having loads of fun on this and it's very frivolous and all that. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah. So I just hope. And I watched one of your Closet Confidential because I'm actually I'm flooded with lives. Everyone who's doing lives.
So many. I'm sorry.
No, but so but also I'm not too interested in clothes. Some yes, but then it's and this is what I like, that some people, it's their thing and you can see it's just theirs, and then some other it's not, and that's also okay. So I love how I just like how you just do it. And I wanted to ask you, when when did it start? At what age? Or
Loving clothes.
yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, there's pictures of me aged like 3 or 4, like putting on my mum's clothes and trying to walk in her heels and like stealing her lipstick and smearing it across my face. So I think it was something I was always drawn to. Like my mum and dad were actually very good. They always let me kind of dress myself and choose my own clothes, as wacky as they sometimes were. I remember in school, our school uniform was like navy and blue, and I turned up in like these brown Doc Marten boots, and I got teased. Like, kids are mean. So I was like 8 or 9, and I got teased for the entire year because I was wearing brown, and like brown and navy and blue was like seriously clashing back then. It might be okay now, it wasn't back then. But I didn't care because I just thought I looked so cool. And I feel like because of them, because of my parents, they always let me be very expressionate with my style and my clothing. They never forced me to wear anything I didn't want to wear. And yeah, I feel like it was just something that really organically happened as I grew up. And then I just always loved clothes. I loved anything to do with that. I did like anytime I could, as soon as I could start working, I think it was 15, I worked in like a men's clothing store, and every time I could, like, had summer holidays, I'd get another job somewhere in fashion. So it was very organic that I ended up in fashion. I studied fashion design originally. That's what I wanted to be, a designer. And every time I'd make an outfit, I'd do a photo shoot with a friend. And I'd bring the photo shoot in, and I'd show all my classmates and my tutors. And they'd be like, my tutor took me aside one day and she goes, "You don't see the finished product as the clothing. You see the finished product as your photo shoot." And I go, "But yeah, because I just want to present it and so that you guys can see it in a different light, not just like the clothing." And she goes, "Yeah, you're a stylist. You're not a designer." And I was like, oh, like I never thought of it like that, because she's like, a designer sees the finished product as the clothing. She's like, you don't see that. You have to shoot it. Every time you finish your clothing, you have to see it in a photo shoot. And I'm like, yeah, so she's the first one that kind of put that into my head and made me start thinking about that as a career. But the Closet Confidentials that I'm doing is just, that's something, I've done a lot of TV over the years. So I always pitch in TV ideas, and I'd come up with it as a TV idea. And I'd been pitching it for the last while, but like, it takes a long time to get something from thought process to actual on screen. And when this kind of pandemic happened and lockdown happened, I was just like you. I was trying to be creative and like keep myself busy and occupied and constantly doing something every day. So I was like, do you know what? Why don't I do that idea, but as an Instagram Live? So I've been doing it for almost 2 months now, and I've been doing three a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and just interviewing different people that have different styles. So like, nobody looks the same. Everyone, like, some of them wear all vintage, some of them wear all charity shops, some of them only wear high street, some of them wears loads of hand-me-downs, and everyone has a different vibe, a different style as well. And I'm just really enjoying the chats with them. And it's not all, like, while a lot of it is style based and fashion based, there's also questions like, you know, what is, you know, something that's like dear to you, like what could you not part with? And like, the stories behind that are lovely. It could be like, my granny passed this down to me and things like that. So getting behind behind the story of the clothing, I find really interesting as well.
Absolutely. I find that's what I find when I do the podcast. So it's the stories. Sometimes with Instagram, you almost feel that they're all the same, or, you know, oh, it's just another stylist, or it's just another influencer. Yeah. And it's only when you actually take the time to really ask certain questions that you realize, oh wow, it's actually really unique. And then can you tell from the people that you're have been interviewing that their style matches their personality? Like, are they, you know how in food they say, there's this brilliant saying, you are what you eat. Can you almost say that you are what you wear, how you dress?
Yeah, I think you can. Like, the girl that I interviewed last Friday, I had actually gone back through her Instagram, so I'd gone back really far, and I'd seen how her style had evolved in such a short space of time. So like 18 months ago, she was wearing these little mini dresses and dressed like a little, the girls that you see going to the clubs and all that sort of stuff. And now everything she wears is baggy and oversized and very street style and cool. So I asked her that, and I was like, your style has evolved so much. I was like, you kind of look like you've stolen your boyfriend's clothes, but like in a good way. And I was like, what has influenced it? And she was like, you're the only person that's ever noticed or said this to me. And she's like, it was literally my boyfriend. My boyfriend influenced my style. She's like, I used to start stealing his clothes, and then I started kind of really liking the kind of oversized shape, the kind of the return to the 90s that you see Hailey Bieber wearing in LA, that kind of thing. And she's like, and I really just loved that, and I felt like it suited my vibe more. She's like, I feel like when I was wearing little mini dresses, I was trying to conform to what was expected of a girl of a certain age in a certain area. And she's like, I feel the most me now. And she's really cool. And I was like, no, this is you. Like, the way you are dressing now, she seems so content and comfortable in herself. I think when somebody is dressing like their most comfortable self, it really shows. Like, I think when somebody's trying too hard, that also shows, because they're trying to be something that they're not.
What is your style? How would you describe your style?
Oh, I get asked this all the time. It's really hard.
For someone who changes a lot, because actually you do change your hairstyle, your makeup, you play with it so much.
I do play. So I definitely play with styles and trends, because I think I have to, because that's part of my career. But I think one of the things that you'll always see with me is, like, I'm not very polished. Like there's always, like, an undoneness. So, like, whether that's my hair or my clothes, there's always, like, an element of something unfinished, like a bohemian kind of vibe, but not boho the way people think of boho. You know what I mean? Not boho as in a long maxi dress with the ankle boots and the wavy hair. Boho as in, like undone. You know what I mean? I would never be super polished. I would never be like a matching lip with a matching nail with a perfect hair with a perfect dress. It's just not me. So I feel like that's probably the best way to describe it. A few years ago, I would have said to you, like, bohemian meets rock and roll, because, like, I love leather trousers and jackets and stuff. But I feel like that's boxing me in too much. I feel like that's giving it's too specific, because like you said, I do like to play around, but I do think that kind of unpolished was probably the best way to describe it.
Well, to me, you always look pretty finished, so it's a matter of perception of how you...
exactly, perspective.
I was wondering, because I looked at your Closet Confidential, and you have women mostly. Have you seen any or spotted any men you would invite?
So yeah, I've had one guy on. He's a stylist in Ireland, Darren Kennedy. So he's been on. He's the only guy that I've had on so far. But I also have another guy who is a stylist in London. He's coming on in a couple of weeks. But I think most of my followers are, like, I would say 85% of my followers are female. So I'm trying to obviously cater to who's actually tuning in. Because, like, you know, that's where most of the interest is. But I actually love styling menswear. So, like, I do love talking about menswear. I just feel like there's not as many guys out there that would have a big wardrobe full of things to talk about. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's a lie. I'll get loads of messages from guys now. There are lots of guys out there that do, but it's kind of like, are they interested? Are other people interested in listening? But yeah, no, I've had one guy on, and I have another guy booked in to do it. So we'll see how the next one goes, and then we'll go from there.
I'm interested. Because I can't imagine, like, what t-shirts, like what's your collection?
Yeah, there's I think with men's styling, there's just slightly less to talk about, isn't there? There's, like, you know, okay, they've got t-shirts and shirts and jackets. Jackets are always good for guys, and shoes, but, like, other than that, I think there's less of a story there, unless, you know, they've bought loads of cool vintage pieces and stuff. Well, yeah, I'll be interested to. Mark Andrew Kelly's the guy that I'm interviewing from London. He's an Irish guy, but he lives in London, and he used to be the stylist for J.W. Anderson. So he's got a really cool wardrobe. So I'm actually excited to do his, because his will definitely be an elevated men's fashion wardrobe.
Definitely will be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Who do you admire from the fashion world?
Who do I admire from the fashion world? Great question. There was a stylist in the UK, I'm actually not going to say her name, that I used to love. And I met her at Fashion Week a couple of years ago, and she was really rude to me. You know the way they say never meet your idols?
Happened.
Never meet your heroes?
Yeah.
She was really dismissive and rude. And I went over and you see somebody that you really love, and I went over and I just said, I just wanted to introduce myself, and I was like, I'm actually a stylist too. I'm based in Ireland. Can I just say, I'm a huge fan, and I've tried to model my career on yours. I'd love to be like you and where you are. And she literally turned to me and she said, good luck. That was it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe she did a big favor.
Yeah, do you know what? And with that, there's a lot of people's careers that I admire, but it did kind of put it into my head that I don't really have any idols in the industry anymore, because I think that can be quite an unhealthy thing to have as well, especially when you meet them and they don't quite meet up to your expectations. But there's a lot of people who I just about to forget her name now. Christine Centenara. She is the fashion editor of Australian Vogue, and what I love about her is I just love her styling. I think she's got a really amazing aesthetic and a great eye. She does a lot of the work for Yeezy, so she would be like the creative director with Kanye West for Yeezy, and would have come up with his initial catwalk shows when they were like an army. They were all so I think a lot of that was her idea. So I just think she's got a really incredible eye. I think she was also quite pivotal in the whole Kim Kardashian style makeover when she went from because she was working a lot with Kanye when Kim went from a bit of a hun in her tight or her léger dresses and became a bit of a fashion bitch or whatever you want to call her. But I think she had a lot to do with that. So I think she's definitely one that I would admire. I don't idolize her, but I admire her for what she does and the type of stylist that she is.
So what I meant that stylist made a favor to you was that she killed the idolizing kind of thing, and perhaps you also turn to be who you are or follow yours, your complete style, you, Courtney.
I think so. And I'd also I was always brought up this way, so I don't know about her, but I'm always very nice to people that get in touch with me, young stylists who are aspiring to work in the industry. Whether they come up to me in person or email me or send me a message on Instagram, I will always give them the time of day. I'll always give them the time and respond to them, because I think nobody's too important that they can't give somebody 2 minutes of their time. And I'd like to think that I already was like that, but even if I wasn't, meeting with her has definitely cemented that in me, because I'm always very, very nice to people now.
Yeah, it's not something that you see every day, especially in fashion. There's a hierarchy, and then certain people are not approachable at all, ever. It's
and you know what? I wonder, will that change after all this? Because I feel like so much of what we do is we work from home until we're booked for a job. You know what I mean? So we're kind of based. Everything we do can be quite lonely, and that kind of, I don't mean lonely in a bad way, but alone, let's say. And I feel like now potentially there'll be a lot more jobs freelance. So like people, I feel like the hierarchy thing comes from people when they're kind of institutionalized. Like, let's say somebody works for a specific high-end magazine, and then when Fashion Week is on, those people all get front row and that kind of thing. And then if you're not there, you're a few rows back, and you know, you're not as important. But like with Fashion Week changing, and with all these people starting to work from home and being more freelance, potentially that hierarchy could start getting broken down a little bit. It'd be nice if that happened, and people just, you know, the work got spread a little bit more and less institutionalized, and also more global. Like, there's no reason that I can't write for like American Vogue, even though I'm based in Dublin. Like, everything can be done remotely now. So there's no reason that I need to be in a city to do something.
You feel it is, it's interesting you say this, because I'm actually writing an article about what potential changes might happen in the fashion industry. And tomorrow I'm gonna talk to the editor of Punked magazine. He's a friend of mine in Milan, to wonder if fashion will become a bit more local. And I actually thought that it would be a positive thing, seeing how in Italy, for example, magazines don't shoot in Italy.
Okay.
Like, Italian Vogue doesn't shoot in Italy. Mary Claire, and when I started modeling, everybody was saying, oh, you just have to go to New York, like everything happens. But I'm like, yeah, but I would like to be on Italian Elle or, you know, Italian magazines. And they're like, darling, nobody shoots in Italy.
Yeah.
And I was like, so even the models, they have to be in a certain place. Like, it's the whole thing of the ideal of the model, becoming a model to travel the world. I'm not sure it will still be the same.
Yeah, I don't think it will either. But that's what I mean, is in like although I'm kind of saying the opposite, I'm also kind of saying the same thing, because I feel like I should be able to do whatever I do from Dublin, and it should still be able to be seen by the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas the way it stands at the moment is, if I wanted to do something for American Vogue, I probably need to be in New York meeting with them. Like, I feel like the thing like Skype and Zoom and everything becoming so much more accessible because of this. I feel like there's no reason why I can't get a meeting with somebody in American Vogue via Zoom. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it might just open people's eyes up a little bit more. But I also totally get what you're saying in terms of local teams being hired, like locally for magazines. I think it'll work both ways. I'd like to think it'll just open up the industry to a much more inclusive space. Yeah.
And model wise, I feel that the models who are in Milan will, I don't know, perhaps be noticed more, like, or even smaller agencies who could not have models everywhere from anywhere in the world. But I'm not sure there will be still a lot of traveling going on.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't think so. And I think there'll probably be a premium on the ones that are traveling. Like, you know, it'll be a lot more expensive because people are going to be thinking about that a lot more. Like, it was very easy beforehand. You ask a model to jump on a plane, they jump on a plane. And now I think there'll be a lot more thought behind that. And a lot more, well, you know, this is going to be the cost because it's riskier. You know, we're putting the world, like, you know, I think sustainability will come into it as well, like, and keeping the earth safe. But I think also just the model safety is going to come into play as well. So I think prices in that respect will go up as well.
Yeah.
As well as flights are going to go up in price anyway.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're both nodding at each other going, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Time to rethink where one wants to be based.
Yeah. Somewhere fun.
Last question. The most memorable show you've been to?
Oh, do you know what? I would say it's Matthew Williamson, and it would be 13 years ago now. Yeah, I actually, this is a bit cheeky, but the reason it's my most memorable one is because I just left college and I was in London, and I obviously had no credentials to go to any Fashion Week shows. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to try and, like, you'd never get away with this now, by the way. It was only because it was 13 years ago. I was like, I'm going to try and wrangle my way into a show. So I went on to the London Fashion Week site or whatever it was and found out that, because they're all up there, the PR's names for each of the shows. It's so easy to access that information. It still is. And I phoned up the PR company, and I was like, hi, this is Courtney Smith from Ireland. I think I said I made up an Irish magazine or something, and I was like, I'm just calling because my invite still hasn't arrived. And I was real, like, angry on the phone, and they were like, oh, sorry. And I was like, can I speak to, and I said, like, the head PR's name, and they were like, oh, well, she's not here at the moment because she's obviously down at the shows. And I'm like, well, this is disgraceful. I was like, I was told that I would have a ticket and blah, blah. And I just made a massive fuss on the phone. They go, okay, well, just, the show's in like 3 hours. We're going to make sure that your name is at the door. So then I go down, and I'm only 21. I'm 21, 22 maybe at the time. No, I'm 21. And I went down, and I walked up, like, skipped the whole line, walked up, and I was like, Courtney Smith, my name's been put down because my invite never arrived. Like, real, like, I think if you're going to do that, if you're going to fake it, you got to fake it well. And I was a little brat, and they were like, yes, Courtney, sorry, we've got your name here. And they walked me straight in and sat me down. Like, and I was like second row at Matthew Williamson, age 21. Best show I've ever been to because of that.
Oh, wow. That is something.
Good show.
Wow.
You wouldn't get one like that again. I mean, sorry, I've been to lots of great shows. Like New York Fashion Week, I've been to Tommy Hilfiger twice, and they're always amazing shows to go to because you've got Gigi Hadid walking by you, and they're always quite spectacular. So I've been to lots of great shows, but I think the Matthew Williamson one always stands out to me because I definitely wasn't meant to be there. So
the taste of it, it's just something else.
Yeah. That's where I got the hunger for it, I think. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming back here and I'm going to be legit next time.
Oh, wow. Wonderful talking to you. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was so nice to chat to you.
Thank you.